Alright, hello and welcome guys back to the next episode of our Unity F1 series. This time we're going to actually be doing some live commentary for qualifying. I found it a lot more difficult to do it over the recordings, but we'll do live commentary for the qualifying, and then we'll just do post commentary for the actual race. So real quick before we go out for qualifying, it looks like majority of the race is going to be dry, and then towards the end of the race it's going to be wet. So we're going to stick around with that dry car setup. So we're going to be China. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and stick with that dry car setup. And let's get right into it. Here we go. Alright, so we do have a pretty good understanding of the track, but the rain will hinder our performance. I broke a little bit early. It's not going to help our time. And here we go. Turn a little wide, that's going to hurt our time. A little late on the brakes. Wide on that left turn. And we hit the curve there. We'll see how we do. Here our brakes locking up in the back. It's not going to be a good time. See if the rain clears up. And it looks like we have a fast time so far. Surprising. I did not think we did well. Alright, we'll see you guys when we go out the next time. Alright, we did wait for it to clear up. We're able to go with our soft tires now. And now it's just a matter of trying to beat the clock after our lap and get a good lap time. We're gonna make it to top 16 for Q2. And here we go. Taking the inside, cutting it a little bit too much. .136, Lewis Hamilton. Took the inside there. That's gonna hurt. Oh, it's definitely gonna hurt our time. We're gonna get there in 40 seconds. We had 2 bad spots on our dry tires. The track was still a little bit wet. Let's see where we're at. All right, we didn't do too bad with those hiccups. Carlos Sainz is going to be sitting in 5th, and we're going to be sitting in 11th for our time. Carlos Sainz got about 2 minutes, or not 2 minutes, 2 seconds on our time. We're going to be 2.6 seconds behind the leader, Charles Leclerc, for the first qualifying. All right, we'll see you in Q2. Alright, we're back for Q2. It's going to be sunny in China. We're going to be starting off qualifying with the reds. Maybe the soft tires. A little bit better on that corner here. A little wide on that one. But here we go, Q2. A little wide on the exit there. A little bit of a hiccup going out wide. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. I did not expect us to see a good lap time after that start. Need to brake a little bit sooner on that 100 mark. Right, we're sitting in 6th right now. We'll see you guys when we head back out. Alright, we are back on the track with a new set of reds, and we're currently 15th on qual. So we got to beat the time to get into the top 10 for Q3. So hopefully we do a lot better this run. Once again, we are playing this with controller. Cutting that corner a little too much. There we go. Oh, that was a bad corner. Oh, I don't want to do that again. About a half a second ahead of our last time. Now's our chance to get where we need to be. good. And 14th. Didn't quite make it. Alright. And after total times, going to be go ahead and starting the race in 13th. We did not make it into top 10 shootout, but Carlos Sainz did. Looks like Giovinazzi got a penalty there for 5 positions, so he would have gotten in 4th or 5th right there. So unless that goes on towards the end, so he might actually get that on the starting grid. So we'll keep an eye out for that. So we will see you guys at the start of the race.
The Chinese Grand Prix then is upon us once more, a race that saw Michael Schumacher claim his final Formula One victory in 2006, as well as Red Bull's first with Sebastian Vettel in 2009. There's no doubt we've got plenty more drama to come here in Shanghai. We're here in the Yangtze River Delta today, home of the 16 corners that make up the Shanghai International Circuit. 54% of this 3.3-mile lap is taken at full throttle, and we'll be getting up to speeds of around 200 miles an hour, with DRS assisting the cars down the back straight before they brake into the sharp hairpin at turn 14. With the Grand Prix nearly upon us, Anthony Davidson is by my side once again to offer his perspective. Let me ask you about Aston Martin. We've had a significant regulation change for this season, but from what I can gather at this early stage, it seems they've had some trouble adapting their car.
It doesn't look promising for them so far. And if the new regs have hit them as hard as we think, well, I suspect they may need a few late nights at the factory to get back on track.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Fernando Alonso, Perez, Lando Norris, and Ricciardo, Sainz, Gasly, Mick Schumacher, and Robert Schwartzman, Leclerc, Johnson, Yuki Tsunoda, and Giovinazzi, Aitken, Russell, Max Verstappen, and Nikita Mazepin, Stroll, Ocon, Latifi, and Luca Giotto. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with week 2 of our Formula One series. This time we're going to be Shanghai, China. Starting position in 12th after 1 position change, I believe. 2 position changes. Coming from P2, or Q2 that is, sorry. But here we go, starting up the grid. We'll be starting next to Leclerc. And that is Schwartzman in front of him. They are both on hards. And we selected to go on a 2-stop strategy this race with softs and mediums. Hopefully our stop isn't going to be too early for our softs. So let's get going.
Keep an eye on the lights. The start sequence will begin as soon as the grid has formed. Be ready with the clutch.
Alright, and our 5 lights, and they're out. Let's go. We had a very good start. Pull up in between Schwartzman and Leclerc. Taking 2 positions there. Now we're 9th and 10th place with Schwartzman in front of us. Last I checked, I believe. We'll double check here. Looks like the Alfa Romeo in front of us, as well as the Schumacher and Carlos Sainz. Be holding position against Yuki Tsunoda and Charles Leclerc. Carlos Sainz sitting in 8th, a pretty decent position, 2 positions ahead of us. And we did have a rough time going through practice and qual, as you guys could see during our qualifications earlier. Coming along the back straight. Pretty decent time between everybody. DRS will not activate until after the second lap has started. taking that last corner pretty well. About 1/8 of a second or a full second between myself and Carlos Sainz, but we are on to lap 2. Moving towards the end of lap 2, we end up taking a good corner. We're going to be trying to fight that position for 9th place against Mick Schumacher. We end up moving on the inside and taking that position. A little bit of bump in our tires there. He drops back. So now we're going to be 8th and 9th behind Carlos Sainz on lap 3. We are running a decent pace behind Carlos Sainz, about 0.5 to 0.7 seconds behind him, trying to gain some ground to fight for that position for 8th place against him. But we do need to be careful and not hit him or damage his vehicle, as he is our teammate. Having to take that turn a little bit wide because we're late on the brakes, but we're coming back onto the back straight pretty well. And we are within a full second, so you can see our DRS open up there, try to catch up to Carlos Sainz along this last hairpin before the starting straight. We exit out of the corner pretty well, staying around half a second behind Carlos Sainz. And we are on to lap 4. Make some decent ground, trying to attempt to pass Carlos Sainz on lap 4. We lose that ground out of the corner. No big deal. Once again, I kind of hesitated there, needing to figure out if I needed to take that outside corner or not, but I stuck with my lane. Coming along to the back straight of the track after this left-hander, and we ended up moving to the inside and playing a little risky here, moving on the inside curb. They don't penalize us for passing Carlos Sainz, but we do end up staying on the outside in fear of him coming into us. But along this back straight, he does have the momentum on me, and with DRS as well, he manages to pass us before the final hairpin. Pretty good view of an onboard camera there, the front end, the front wing there. Went along the starting straight, starting lap 5. We're still within that half second, 0.7 seconds behind him. Coming towards the end of lap 5, we have our first people starting to go through pits. I hesitate there, it's like, no, I don't need to pit yet, and I end up hitting the curb. We end up gaining a few positions, where Valtteri Bottas, Daniel Ricciardo, Fernando Alonso, all of them take their pits. So now we're running in 4th place behind Lando Norris and ahead of Charles Leclerc. Pretty good spacing between all of us. And now the real fun begins. Coming towards the end of lap 6, and we have Charles Leclerc not deciding to pit, and he's about 1.3, 1.2 seconds behind us. So it's going to be the start of a pretty decent fight between myself and Charles Leclerc, as we're maintaining 1st place to start of lap 7. You can see Charles Leclerc there in the screen, catching up to us at a decent pace. He's better at some of the corners than I am, so we're still maybe able to keep some ground on him during the race. And he is outside of that 1 second range, so he's not able to activate DRS. But I did brake a little early on this corner, and I didn't do it too well. So that does allow Charles Leclerc to gain a little bit of ground on me, coming on to the start of lap 8. You can see an onboard here from Charles Leclerc, about 1.5 seconds behind. He's sticking with me on those set of hard tires there, and I believe we are still running the softs, as we have not pit yet. We managed to hold our ground against Charles Leclerc. Lap 8, we are coming into the pits. We're going to be changing over to the medium set of tires. And as we go into the pits, we end up back out in 11th place, behind Lando Norris and in front of Fernando Alonso. Carlos Sainz fighting a decent battle in 16th place. Manageable time between George Russell and Nicholas Latifi. Coming along the long straight there, right after we came out of the pits. We're about 5.5 to 6 seconds behind Lando Norris. So our main focus is to defend our position against Fernando Alonso, who is around a half second behind us. So any type of mistake that we make, he could take advantage of, gain some ground, and try to move past us. You can see him there behind us, about 0.8 seconds behind. A little rough around this set of turns here before the long straight towards the end of the lap. And Fernando Alonso is within the 1 second time frame to activate his DRS, so you can see it open up there slightly from the distance, and you do see him gain some ground on me. So he's within a half second of me, and it's my job to defend the position for 11th place, as we're maybe a quarter of the way through the race. Moving on to lap 11, we've made our ground up to Robert Schwartzman. Bump him a little bit, tell him we're here. We need that position, we need those points. We ended up going too far to the outside, where Fernando Alonso manages to take that position. I end up taking it back. And you can see his onboard here of how I'm trying to react to both him and Robert Schwartzman. Was stressing me out a little bit there. Trying to get that good line against Robert Schwartzman, try to pressure him to move so I can get that position. But along the straight, both myself and Fernando Alonso are able to activate DRS. Fernando Alonso had definitely had the better pace than I did, going and taking the position from me, moving to the outside of the lane and taking the position from Robert Schwartzman. As we're coming around that last hairpin on me on the inside, I decided to stay on the inside, and I ended up bumping him out onto the curb. Not really a friendly gesture there, but we weren't penalized for it. Another lap passes, we're still behind Fernando Alonso, about a half second. Robert Schwartzman about 5 to 6 seconds behind us, so we don't really have to worry about him. So our main fight for this race is now turned towards Fernando Alonso. We both managed to take 3 positions as Max Verstappen, Tsunoda, and Stroll all take their pit stops. They're going to be on one-stop strategies. Little love tap to Fernando Alonso saying, hey, I'm still here. I want that position back you took from me earlier. And there's an instance here where Pierre Gasly had an engine failure. So we're taking a look at his onboard. He had an engine fault, is what I'm guessing. They never really told us. They just told us mechanical failure. So lap 14, he gets knocked out. as we're still in a fight for 6th position against Fernando Alonso, who is defending it well. Getting up on him there, following his line, bumping him a little bit, letting him know we're still there. Could have taken that line a little bit better. Trying to follow him as close as possible without hitting him, hitting a decent line. At the beginning of the race, they told us that there was going to be rain towards the end of the race. So at this point, I started checking, okay, how long it was it going to be before we had to change to wet tires, possibly. So a little bit of my focus went towards that, so I lose a little bit of ground on Alonso. But I was still well between the 1 second interval to activate my DRS to keep up with him. Coming up on the last hairpin, we brake as late as possible, and we hit the gas right outside of the corner. A little bit damage there on our front wing from our terrain. We follow Fernando Alonso pretty closely. We're still within that half second on him, moving into lap 16. You can hear the canopy scraping against the ground as we're trying to race. We've gone to lap 17. Towards the end of lap 17, we're right up on Fernando Alonso, trying to fight for that position. We're going to have some other people who haven't pit yet run into the pits. It's going to be Valtteri Bottas, Lando Norris, Fernando Alonso. So we're going to be first, second, and third. Lewis Hamilton, Sergio Perez, and myself. I am well within the 1 second mark to fight for that second position against Sergio Perez. And we're feeling pretty comfortable with 18 out of 28 laps done and sitting in third place. The only issue at this point is the condition of my intermediate tire, or my medium tires, which I did swap out lap 8, lap 9. So we're trying to go the rest of this race with those yellow tires. And once again, lap 19, we're going to be checking towards the weather as we're trying to push on Sergio Perez for that second position. Right now, we are comfortably sitting for the podium spot for third place. There will be plenty of points for Unity in this F1 series. Activated our DRS, keeping good grounds on Sergio Perez. We decided not to make a move here on the last corner. It was too risky because of the condition of our tires. We didn't want to make them any worse. So we're trying to make a move on him on the next lap. But at this point, rain's within 5 minutes. We got 8 laps to go after completing this one. So we double check with the weather here. They give us 5-minute warning. So I'm thinking, okay, might just be able to swap to wet tires and finish out the race in a comfortable position. But at this point, my mechanic tells me they're checking on an issue. And shortly after, once we're coming closer to that final stretch of land, I get a very bad notice on my HUD that our turbocharged engine has gone out and failed for the rest of this race. So that means we are out of this race, week 2, with a DNF, no points on the board for myself.
It's victory in Shanghai then, and what a victory it is after an incredible Grand Prix. Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it. It's a great result for Lewis Hamilton, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Max Verstappen seemed to just effortlessly weave through the other drivers today without a care in the world. He was definitely my driver of choice.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Meanwhile, Ferrari have improved their position. A strong weekend from them as they fight their way towards the top. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.